Hey everybody, man, it's Worship Wednesday, and I hope you are ready to go. It's going to be an awesome time together. Here's the deal. We have changed it up a little bit. We are excited that we have got our band together. We're going to play some songs together. We're going to worship, and we're going to share a little bit of a message and encouragement. So here's what you need to do. Grab a snack, grab a drink, hit share, get somebody here. It's going to be an awesome time for the next few minutes together on Worship Wednesday. Let's worship together.
Tenderness he sought me, weary and sick with sin, and on his shoulders brought me back to his fold again. While angels in his presence sang, until the courts of heaven rang. Oh, the love that bought me. Oh, the blood that bought me. Oh, the grace that brought me to the fold of God. Grace that brought me to the fold of God. He died for me while I was sinning, needy and poor and blind. He whispered to assure me, I found thee, thou art mine. I never heard a sweeter voice. It made my aching heart rejoice. Oh, the love that sought me. Oh, the blood that bought me. Oh, the grace that brought me to the fold of God. Grace that brought me to the fold of God. Upon his grace I'll daily ponder and sing anew his praise, with all adoring wonder. Our blessings I'll retrace. It seems as if eternal days are taught too short to sing his praise. Oh, the love that sought me. Oh, the blood that bought me. Oh, the grace that brought me to the fold of God. Grace that brought me to the fold of God. Oh, the love that sought me. Oh, the blood that bought me. Oh, the grace that brought me to the fold of God. Grace that brought me to the fold of God.
Sometimes on this journey, I get lost in my mistakes. What looks to me like weakness is a canvas for strength.
And my story isn't over, my story's just begun. Failure won't define me, 'cause that's what my Father does. No, failure won't define me, 'cause that's what my Father does. Ooh, lay your burdens down. Ooh, here in the Father's house. Check your shame at the door, 'cause it ain't welcome anymore. Ooh, you're in the Father's house. Arrival's not the end game, the journey's where you are. You never wanted perfect, you just wanted my heart. And the story isn't over if the story isn't good. And failure's never final when the Father's in the room. No, failure's never final when the Father's in the room. Come on. Ooh, and lay your burdens down. Ooh, here in the Father's house. Check your shame at the door, 'cause it ain't welcome anymore. Ooh, you're in the Father's house. Come on, let's all sing this together. Wherever you are, just remember that every one of us is a prodigal at some point in our life, but man, Jesus welcomes us home every time. Let's sing this out. Come on. Prodigals come home, and the helpless find hope. Love is on the move when the Father's in the room. Prison doors fling wide, the dead come to life. Love is on the move when the Father's in the room. Miracles, miracles take place, and the cynical find faith. And love is breaking through when the Father's in the room. Jericho walls are quaking, and strongholds now are shaking. And love is breaking through when the Father's in the room. Love is breaking through when the Father's in the room. Ooh, lay your burdens down. Ooh, yeah, here in the Father's house. Check your shame at the door, 'cause it ain't welcome anymore. Ooh, yeah, you're in the Father's house. Yeah. Come on, let's sing that bridge one more time. Let's proclaim it together. Man, miracles will take place. Cynical people will find faith in Jesus because he will bring them home. Come on, sing it one more time. Prodigals come home, and the helpless find hope. And love is on the move when the Father's in the room. And prison doors fling wide, the dead come to life. And love is on the move when the Father's in the room. Miracles, miracles take place. Yeah. The cynical find faith, and love is breaking through when the Father's in the room. Yeah. Jericho walls are quaking, strongholds now are shaking, and love is breaking through when the Father's in the room. Love is
In Acts chapter 9, we pick up a story about a guy named Saul. Saul's on his way to a place called Damascus, and he's on his way to kill, to capture, and to persecute people who follow Jesus, Christians. But on his way, he has an encounter with God. We hear about this all the time when Saul turns to Paul. God gets his attention, and he speaks into his life, and he changes the way that Paul sees who Jesus is. But there's an incredible element to this story that we want to look at for just a minute and see how we can become the kind of people that Paul needed in his darkest moment. So I'm standing in a parking lot very similar to where I was about 13, 14 years ago when I had a conversation with a girl that absolutely changed my life. See, I was here at a CC's with some friends the summer before my freshman year of college, because that's the kind of place you eat when you're a freshman in college, because it's all you can eat pizza for like $6, right? It's everything you could possibly want when you're a freshman in college. And so I was here with some friends from youth group. And after our time together, we just sort of made our way out, and I happened to be standing in the parking lot talking to this girl for a quick conversation, this girl from youth group, that lasted more than 3 hours. See, that conversation became something way bigger than I ever thought it was. That conversation changed my life. It changed my heart, and that girl became my wife. And that's become a major part of my life. But, you know, it's so interesting to think about the fact that I would have never had that conversation with that girl if months prior I hadn't had a conversation with another girl who I haven't seen in maybe 14, 15 years. And we had a conversation that didn't last very long, but she said something along the lines of, "I really like my youth group. You should come check it out." And so I came to this youth group to meet some new people and to kind of do some worship stuff and to be a part of what might be cool there. And because of that conversation, the rest of my life was radically changed. See, there was this guy in the story of Paul in Acts chapter 9 named Ananias. Ananias shows up on the scene, and he's just a blip. He's just a moment in the story of Paul. So Paul has this encounter with God, and in this encounter with God, he becomes blind. And he's taken to this house, and he's told to wait there. He's there for 3 days, and he's blind, and he's just spending time with God and trying to figure out what just happened. God was getting his attention. But he tells Paul, there's going to be a guy coming. And then he goes to this guy, Ananias, and he says, "Ananias, I need you to go, and I need you to talk to this guy, Paul." And Ananias says to God, "Are you sure, God? This is the guy that kills Christians, but I'll go if you need me to go." And so Ananias is obedient, and he takes off, and he goes to where Paul is, and he prays with him. Here's the thing about Ananias. Ananias was available. When God reaches out to him and says, "Ananias, I need you to go do this thing," the words that come out of his mouth are, "Here I am." Man, for all of us, when God speaks to us, is that our language? Is that our response? Do we look at God and we say, "Here I am"? Or do we tell God how busy we are? Do we tell God how difficult life is right now? Do we remind God about COVID? Do we tell God all the things that we are busy doing, and so we can't be available to him? Ananias was available. He said, "Here I am." And so God gives him a mission, and he sends him over to Paul. And so he goes. Ananias was obedient. Man, when God calls us to do something, our obedience is the thing that sets us apart. And God can use us to do something incredible in the life of someone else. Here's the incredible thing about Ananias. Not only was he available, not only was he obedient, but his obedience was confirmation to Paul. Because Paul had just for the first time had an encounter with God. And here he is for the first time hearing the voice of God. And the voice of God tells him someone is coming to pray with you. And so for 3 days, he's sitting and he's waiting. And he's waiting for God to do something, not knowing what that's going to look like. But he's just waiting. But he's had this encounter with God. And he says this guy is coming. See, Ananias' obedience was Paul's confirmation that God was really doing what he said he was going to do. Here's the deal, church. Your obedience could be someone else's miracle. See, if Ananias had chosen to not be obedient, if he had maybe not had that conversation with Paul, Paul may have had doubt about his mission with God. If Paul hadn't launched into his ministry, the church today would not be the church that it is. The power of the New Testament would not have the conviction that Paul had. But because Ananias was obedient and available, he confirmed the miracle of God in Paul's life. Church, I hope that when God calls you to step out and to do something, your response will be available and obedient. I hope that you will pray regularly, "Here I am, Lord," and he can use you to change somebody's life. Remember, your obedience could be somebody's miracle.
In the darkness, we were waiting without hope, without light, till from heaven you came running. There was mercy in your eyes to fulfill the law and prophets. To a virgin came the word, from a throne of endless glory to a cradle in the dirt. Till that stone was moved for good, for the Lamb had conquered death, and the dead rose from their tombs.